Alright, so this is the brain. This is the anterior portion. This is the posterior portion. This is the inferior and this is the superior. Okay, so the brain, we have the two hemispheres, left and the right hemisphere, and it's divided by the longitudinal fissure. And down here we have the cerebellum, and it's divided by the transverse fissure on the posterior side. Okay, let's go over the lobes a little bit. On this section right here is the frontal lobe. This section right here is parietal lobe, and the occipital lobe is right here, and the temporal lobe is right here. And the temporal lobes and the frontal lobes are divided by the lateral sulcus, and it runs from this section to this section. Okay, it doesn't run all the way 360. Okay, this guy right here is your central sulcus. It's a sulcus that runs nonstop from your longitudinal fissure all the way down to the lateral sulcus. And the central sulcus is the one that divides the frontal lobe with the parietal lobe. And you can see that the gyrus that right on the front anterior to the central sulcus is the precentral gyrus. And the gyrus that posterior to the central sulcus is the what? Postcentral gyrus. Okay? So when I take the brain up, there's one lobe that we didn't talk about. It's your insula. You have to pull out your temporal lobe, and that's right there is your insula, deep inside. And that's for taste. Okay? So that's the, alright, by the way, this entire upper portion right here is your cerebrum. Cerebellum's right here. And the outer cortex, the outer layer that covering the entire cerebrum is the cerebral cortex, which is the gray matter, and that's where the information is being processed. So if I, so on this model, we got the sagittal cut of the brain. Right here, this is sagittal cut, and that is your corpus callosum. It's a bundle of fiber, the axon, which is the white stuff. That's allowed the right and left hemisphere communicate. And down below is the septum pellucidum, and that separates the lateral ventricles. So deep in there is one of the lateral ventricle, and I'll show the lateral ventricle later. So down below that is the fornix. That's the floor of the lateral ventricles. And that's the cerebrum. And now we're going down to the diencephalon, which contains the thalamus and hypothalamus and accessory area. Right there, that area is your thalamus. It relays all the information, the sensory information. And the floor of the thalamus is the hypothalamus. It's a structure that control or regulate both nervous system and the endocrine system. And the yellow, not really yellow, but the round thing right in the middle of the thalamus is the intermediate mass. And this guy will connect the left and the right thalamus together, allow the two thalamus to communicate. Up here we got the coronal plexus, which secretes the CSF, cerebral spinal fluid. So this is the hypothalamus again, and below the hypothalamus is your pituitary gland. And the hypothalamus connect with the pituitary gland through a structure called infundibulum. Okay? Any questions so far? Go along, we got this guy is the optic chiasm, where the optic nerve crosses. On the back, we got this guy right here is the pineal gland, and this guy will secrete the melatonin, one of the hormones for the sleeping cycle. All right, from here, these are the extra stuff. Anterior, middle, white, posterior, white commissure. The middle white commissure can be called the intermediate mass. Both names is fine. This area right here is where the third ventricle. You can see that little indentation. So if you put the other half of the brain, so there will make a space, which is the third ventricle. Okay. Now we're going down to the brainstem. The brainstem has three structures: midbrain, pons, and the medulla oblongata. The midbrain is right below the hypothalamus, and right in the front of the midbrain we got the M body, which is the mammary body, and this guy will control the feeding stuff, which is your swallowing and leaking. And on the back, which is a poster of the midbrain, which is your corpora quadrigemina, and there will be the superior and inferior colliculi, and superior colliculi for vision and inferior colliculi for auditory. And in the mid portion of the midbrain, we have a canal called cerebral aqueduct, or we can call it aqueduct midbrain. Either one's fine. Where is that at? Can you find me a brainstem model and bring over here?